What's up, my friend? Welcome back to another video. And today I'm going to answer a question that I get quite a lot in my comment section. And that is, why don't you use modeled samples or sample modeling, basically, right? Why do you use samples that are only recorded from your performances and you don't use ones that are created from scratch, that basically are synthesized from scratch and then are a lot more flexible in that regard? And my answer is very, very simple. It's the mindset of using recorded performances that basically lights me up. Having recorded notes from a real instrument, from a real performer, that in itself has such a natural, authentic quality in samples that makes it so much more fun to write with rather than having a synth to write with, you know? Because then I might as well use synths or hardware, software synths to basically create those sounds from scratch. And I'm just not much of a sound design guy at all. If you know me in my channel, my music, I don't really use sound design very much. But if we're trying to replicate a real orchestra, then basically I want to get as close to the source as possible. And so over the years, I've grown to really love and appreciate the process of recording and editing and mixing samples to make them sound amazing, especially out of the box. And it just makes it so inspiring to play. So it would require a really, really good modeled sample library to sound basically identical to the real thing for me to use that library, you know, and you might consider that closed-minded, you know, and I would totally respect and understand that. But again, that's just how I personally think about it. And that's something I would love for you to know, or I'd love to know from you is, what do you think about sampled or modeled sampling libraries, right? Libraries that use samples that are created from scratch, that don't necessarily rely on recorded material, but it's basically just having a sound that's created from scratch and then molded to your liking, therefore being a lot more flexible and scripting it however you like to create the exact performance you want, right? A lot of people prefer that approach. You might, and I would totally understand, right? But you can let me know below. But I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of flexibility and a little bit of just playability, I guess, for a more realistic sound that I know is coming from the actual source, the instrument, the performer, creating their own, you know, recording with an authentic performance. That in itself is a lot more exciting to me than using sampled or modeled sample libraries. So it's really, really simple. It's just something I personally prefer. I don't really think too hard about it, but if I see a sample library that's been recorded and contains instruments that, you know, that are in an orchestral space, and I listen to the walkthroughs and demos and they sound great, then I'm a lot more likely to be interested in that library versus an entirely modeled sample library. That being said, though, there are some companies that combine both real performances and modeled approaches that creates kind of a really flexible approach using a realistic sound in the first place. And that's a really cool idea, and I do appreciate that. But I think just over the years of working, I've kind of come to know my sample libraries the best in terms of which ones I like to use and which ones I don't. So I tend to just stick with the ones that I use on a regular basis, and those are all sample libraries from an actual recorded performance. You know, real musicians playing real instruments, recorded with great gear, mixed well and processed well, and then delivered to the customer. It's just what I personally like to use. It's more of a mindset than anything. It's not like a super bias against, you know, technology. But yeah, it's just a personal preference of mine. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you. But if you are curious about the sample libraries I do like to use the most, then definitely download my sample library buyer's guide down below in the description. It's completely free, and it'll give you a sense of every library that I think is worth taking a look at. And I've also included the utility of those libraries, like how you might want to use them, and also the pricing as well, so you understand what you're getting into for your next sample library. I really appreciate you watching. I'll catch you in the next video, and I'll see you very soon. Take care.